I'm reading a letter that was written by Betsy Taylor, addressed to Barack Obama and signed by 200 people. The letter is addressed to Barack Obama, but I'm reading it for the benefit of Rex Tillerson, CEO of ExxonMobil. August 25th of 2012, and again on June 11, 2013, I suggested to Barack Obama and Rex Tillerson that they join forces and collaborate. I suggested that they could become very strange bedfellows, but they could be welcome heroes if they were to collaborate and solve this problem now. So here's the letter, and it's addressed to Dear President Obama. We write to you with renewed hope and urgency about America's response to the climate disruption. Your speech at Georgetown University in June was historic, the first time an American president has tackled the challenge squarely with a strong executive plan and a passionate call for engagement. Meanwhile, the facts on the ground, documented in the IPCC's new report and illustrated from the Rockaways to the Philippines, confirm that we must do more. Your climate action plan represents real progress in reducing carbon pollution, preparing for inevitable impacts, and exerting American leadership in international climate initiatives. Your commitment to place responsible limits on carbon pollution from large existing sources is particularly crucial. We know how difficult it will be to implement those limits, and we are all with you in that fight to win. We especially appreciate your commitment to reject the Keystone XL pipeline if it significantly increases climate pollution. In making climate impact a threshold condition for evaluating Keystone XL, you established a vital principle. We can't keep pouring new capital investments into making the climate crisis worse. The International Energy Agency announced this year that most proven fossil fuel reserves must remain unburned if we are to have a chance to avoid catastrophic climate disruption. Huge new commitments to long-lived fossil fuel infrastructure make it virtually impossible to keep that unburned carbon in the ground. Such a step backwards would be particularly tragic now, because the prospects for real solutions have never been brighter. In the private sector and in our communities, the pace of clean energy innovation is accelerating. From crowd financing for solar energy and efficiency, to electric vehicle technology, to the proliferation of new transportation choices in our cities, solutions are rapidly becoming more available, more effective, and cheaper. Your bold stimulus program of 2009 and 2010 helped spark many of today's successful clean energy initiatives, and a new generation of young innovators and leaders are driving these solutions forward. As we adopt more and better clean energy innovations and climate reality begins to set in, fossil fuel markets are beginning to contract. Our biggest fear is not that we can't develop enough solutions, it's that huge new long-term commitments of fossil fuel infrastructure will needlessly prolong fossil fuel addiction past the point of no return for livable climate. We find the argument that Keystone XL will not increase emissions disturbingly fatalistic. It rests on the assumption that the tar sands will be fully exploited with or without the pipeline. But other routes to markets, including shipping crude by rail, are considered by oil industry analysts to be much less economically viable, which is, of course, why Keystone route was chosen. Furthermore, the tar sands are one of the major global carbon reserves that must remain substantially unburned if we are to avert chaotic climate disruption. Assuming that they will be fully developed is simply capitulating. The tenor and content of your climate speech suggested strongly that you mean to do just the opposite. The no-impact argument also ignores the crucially important effect of large capital investments on energy markets. Keystone XL will facilitate further exploitation of tar sands by sinking capital, tipping the balance of incentives toward more production. These capital investments lock in emission increases for decades, creating overwhelming economic pressure to keep digging and burning and squandering the capital we need for solutions. They make the problem not just worse, but intractable. No single pipeline represents a large portion of the vast sum of global emissions, but Keystone XL is substantively important. It is a big, conspicuous example of what we must categorically avoid: long-term commitments that drive us deeper into fossil fuel dependence and keep us stuck there. Whether it is the ideal test of your administration's resolve on climate is besides the point. It is, as history would have it, a real-world test. The one that will, for better or worse, be remembered as the watershed. The decision is about more than the pipeline. It's about the principle you laid down, the principle that we must stop making the climate crisis worse. Keystone XL has become a line in the sand for the climate movement for one other simple, crucial reason. The decision is yours. Only one human being is the world's most powerful leader at this moment. The first moment when we have truly come face to face with the dimensions of the climate crisis, and very likely the last moment when we can commit ourselves to solutions before climate disruption spins out of control. Your decision on Keystone XL will be the most visible, direct thing you do with your power in this fateful time. We remain hopeful because the person with power is you. Signed by over 200 people. So please, Mr. Tillerson, start now. Announce the retirement of the first refinery and announce the retirement schedule for all the remaining refineries over the next 2 decades. We must get off of the combustion of fossil fuels and start investing all monies that are spent in developing renewable energy resources. We must not expand carbon-based fossil fuel resources and infrastructure. Thank you.